Okie dokie, today we're going to be talking about vaults, trade posts, and masking for both of them. If you're not familiar with what I mean by masking, I'll give you two quick examples, such as the Firelink floof or the spinny bit I have in Pontiff's Cathedral. These are just different ways to hide your trade posts. When you go up to a trade post, you are able to pull up the trade screen after you interact with it. However, as you can see here, it doesn't matter where I am or what angle I'm looking at when I interact with it, it will still show me the same angle of the trade screen. So this opens us up to some interesting possibilities, considering that it doesn't matter how you're looking at the trade post, so long as you are in the interact range, you can pull up the same view. And so if you change the rotation or the placement of the trade post, you can change what people see. Quick note before moving on, in the bottom right, you can edit the clan tax. You need the treasurer permission to edit this, but only do this if you want to be an absolute bastard. I'll do a quick overview on how to replicate the Firelink floof trading post. First, you need to make sure that when you run into whatever object you're going to have as the actual trade post, that you can't actually climb up it, because it's really friggin' annoying for people that aren't familiar with it. So in this case, I used the Lewis shard, and I made sure that it was just high enough to make sure that I couldn't step above it. And then I will find the floof here, and then I will set that down. It is adorable. And now you have what you want to see, but now we need to get the trade post into position to reflect that. It is easiest to work in 15-degree rotations with the trade post, as that will keep your Warframe's noggin out of the way for the most part, not always. If you have not watched my basics and clipping video, please God watch those before proceeding, because while clipping is not necessarily 100% needed for all of this, most people tend to add trade posts to completely built rooms, and doing this without clipping would be a downright whore. Now I'll push the trade post in until the very edge of that bottom platform is still maybe just barely visible. So if you stand right on top of that line, that's where you want to be. You can change the direction, but as long as you are standing on that line itself, you're going to be in about the right spot for the trade post to actually function. Playing with different angles will give you different views. However, remember that if you do change the angle, you still need to adjust where on earth the trade post was clipped into relative to the object that you're wanting, or else you're going to have some pretty funky results. Example here, I ended up turning it too far and it didn't look quite right, but if I go and change it the other way, then I get an almost straight-on view of the floof. I personally believe it looks best with a slight angle to the side and up, so that way your Warframe can still be present just a little bit, but not in the way, and then you're also getting a slight angle on the floof itself. You obviously don't have to ride the floof train with this. The Firelink floof that I've had is just something that gives me a chuckle whenever I go for a trade. Pontiff's Cathedral little spinny bit. I have another floof in the Bloodborne Hunter's Dream. I have another one in Mind Lab Rasputin for people who have Bloom on and to make them regret it. Realistically though, depending on what object you're trying to make your trade post, you will have to change the angle accordingly to match whatever you're doing. So not every trade post is going to be similar, but by God it will be better than the hideous bare exposed trade post by itself, because that thing is fugly. Masking doesn't have to only apply to trade posts and vaults though. I wish it were something that people would come to understand and put into practice better, but an example here would be the Oricon Lab console. I've just slapped a computer there, and that already looks better than the jank-ass Tenno console that would be there before. Now, if you remember what I said earlier, I said the orientation of the trade post will determine the orientation of the trade screen, not where the player is relative to it. So if you were to flip it upside down, in this case, we'll kind of do an inverted Firelink floof, except the floof won't exist. So we flipped it upside down, the interact range is still there, but when we use it, it flips us upside down. It's a hella disorienting to use that, because then when you come back up, it kind of flips your entire screen. Tribute to text is not visible while a trade post session is active, so if you're trying to hide text down there, it will not pan out because it will not be visible. Quick fun fact, neither vaults nor trade posts have to actually be built in order to be used. You can use the preview function and interact with them for the 60 seconds that it is allowed. Alright, now we're going to move on to vaults. Vaults are just trade posts, but yellow. When you interact with a vault, you will be given the option to donate decorations, credits, or resources, or browse the options there, to your own clan or to an allied clan as well. When I say allied clan, if you literally click on it, it will pull up a list of clans that are in your alliance, and you can choose which one you would like it to go to. The vault also has the auto contribute from vault function, but if you've watched my basics video like you should have, you will know the benefits and trade-offs to using that. Unlike Tradeposts, vaults have the option to be fast traveled to. This will not exist until you've constructed at least one, and by constructed I don't mean actually built, I just mean that you've placed one down at all. Fun fact as well, it doesn't actually have to be funded. Unfunded, funding, or constructed vaults all work the same when it comes to fast traveling, and you will fast travel to the nearest vault when you use that function. But as you'll see here, when you do fast travel, you will only fast travel to a very specific side of the vault. This single point is the only point you will ever teleport to with a vault. So you need to make sure that if you place it underground, that you're still on solid ground, or to make things a lot more obvious here, let's say you go and are trying to mask your vault and it ends up kind of clipping through a wall inadvertently. It's not your intention to do so, but maybe you didn't pay attention to which console you actually teleport to. And because of this, when people go to donate, this is the screen they're met with, and you're a fucking bastard.